Good evening, everyone, and welcome tonight to the update. Tonight's going to be an extremely full update, so I want to kick it in gear and go wide open as fast as we can. I have an incredible amount of video to share with you. If you guys saw the title of the program, it is The War of Words, Missiles, and Sabotage. It's been quite a day. Quite a day. So lots of things happening on both sides, but a serious war of words. Malcolm Bills, Slava Ukraina. Good morning from the UK, my friend. Nice to see you there. Hot Skills 79. Greg, do you still play Call of Duty? I dominate. Jennifer Grover, R. Dot, welcome there in Arizona. Andre, welcome from Montreal, Canada. Bless you, sir. Edward Dooley. Welcome to you, JDO. What's up there, Illinois land? Pat Shove. KM, welcome to you. Rita Berryman down there. Ben Waldrum out in Nevada. Rogammon, Virginia. I see all of you guys there. Jeffrey Burnett, as always, thank you. So much appreciated. And I love that name there, Sailor Jimothy. Welcome from Minnesota. All right, we're going to get to it. And here's what I can tell you. We're going to talk about the war of words. So tonight, as we go through the update, yes, we're going to discuss everything. In fact, I can tell you right now, there's some goofy things going on the Turkish-Syrian border. It appears, and it's not even hitting mainstream media yet, but it appears Turkey may be cranking up the operation there in northern Syria. So we'll see. Does that affect Ukraine? Of course, it would affect the entire region if that was to take off. We shall see. Huge day on both sides. Huge day globally. I do want to say there, hello to Ross, Lena. Morning to you down there, down under, way down under in Tasmania. Appreciate all of your help. We've got something special coming. Zhenya and I today were working quite a bit. Lots of communication and preparing going on for heading into Ukraine here very quickly. YP Schwartzy, the Cheeseheads are in tonight. We also were able to update the Amazon purchase list. And before we go any further, let me give you that. It is pinned in the YouTube chat. It is also in the description on every platform, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, all of those places. It's pinned. It'll take you right to the shopping list. And we've figured out how to do this now. It's right to the shopping list and you can purchase. I actually just received a message in from Great Britain literally an hour ago where some supplies were being purchased even from Great Britain, of course, here in America on Amazon, and being shipped in. As we said, Everything that comes in on this by next Tuesday is going with me. If it comes in a little bit later, the security guy that's going with me to Ukraine, he leaves 4 days after me. We could potentially, and we will, get additional supplies to him. And if they come in even after that, we will get them to Ukraine. That's not a problem. But as many as come in, I'm going to have the room, and they will go with me personally. So thank you for that. You just hit the link, you go there. Yeah, we've got it updated, and we're cooking now, guys. We are cooking. And if we run out of those numbers, we'll run them again, because they can use every one that they have, that we're able to get to them. So thank you tonight. Welcome to everyone. And let's get to it here. We're going to start here, last 24 hours of activity. And in fact, over the last hour, a lot of activity has really cranked up as far as some strikes, missile strikes, and that would be in the cities of Mykolaiv and Nikopol. Nikopol's been smashed for the last 24 hours. Kharkiv smashed for the last 24 hours, and the east smashed for the last 24 hours. And yes, we're going to get to the great news of what happened in the south. So you see the gold circles there. Now, I want to draw your attention over to the west, and that would be Zhytomyr. Zhytomyr, a city that we do a lot of work and travel in. It's close. I'll give you an update on that map in a second, but Zhytomyr was hit twice. Odessa's being hit. Listen, there's some egg on the face flying. This war is either getting ready to end or to escalate. There is no in between. It's either going to end or escalate. And some of the words that you will hear tonight directly from Shoigu, directly from Putin, you'll even hear something from President Zelensky in a little bit, everything translated. You can read between the lines. It's either going to heat up or it's going to end. We shall see. But today, last few days, been very key moments, whether it's strikes, HIMARS, sabotage, whatever it may be. We're making some great efforts. Now, tonight, I do have the video that will show you exactly how the munitions dump exploded down there in Crimea. We'll get to that in a moment. But back to Zhytomyr, that's where the airbase symbol is up there I have for you. And behind it, I have the gold marker. Zhytomyr was hit this morning with missiles, and it hit into residential areas. We are still waiting to get information on the loss. You're going to hear directly from the mayor of Zhytomyr. And then another air raid went off, siren warning in Zhytomyr. And then Russia was able to strike with 2 cruise missiles. Actually, KH-57s, they were able to hit the air base there in Zhytomyr. No loss of life, but there was damage to equipment and, unfortunately, the runway. They did hit their target on that. Now, looking down on the map, you see the 2 blue markers. Now, these are very good things for Ukraine. Let's go to the one to the most to the south. That would be an air base that was hit. And this is the words I want to use. It was hit. It was damaged. That's the air base right above Sevastopol. The blue marker to the north was a munition dump. And the key thing about this munition dump, it was at the intersection of where the railroads come together and take supplies to Melitopol and take supplies to Kherson. Now, we can look at that a little closer. So let's zoom in. We're going to look at Zhytomyr first, and then we'll go south. So I zoomed into the map here for you guys because we spend a lot of time looking at the south and the east, but I want to remind you of central and west. You see the black circle there for Kyiv. You see directly north Belarus. This is the entire region where the equipment is rolling in nonstop from Russia. We'll see what happens, and I have an idea about that. It's not just mine, but it came out of Kyiv today. I'll share that with you in a moment. You then see Zhytomyr in the purple circle. Zhytomyr is a very key military city there in central to west central Ukraine. Coming down to the green circle, you see Khmelnytsky. That is our base city. That is where Zhenya is and lives, and that's where we operate out of. And then, of course, Lviv over by the western border, adjacent to Poland and Slovakia. So this is really the key areas of the west and the central, and the purple circle, that is Zhytomyr. That is where it was hit. Now, we're going to start watching some video, and we're going to roll through them. I ask you tonight, as you watch these videos and you are reading the translation, read between the lines. You're going to hear the Ukrainians give interesting statements, little jabs. Remember, it was a couple of days ago where President Zelensky said, when we communicate, do not tell them what we're doing before we do it or as we're doing it. We communicate the Ukrainian way. And the Ukrainian way is that close to the vest, that humor, and you're going to see some humor tonight coming from Ukraine. And it is pushing the hot buttons of the Kremlin. They know what they're doing. So here's the mayor of Zhytomyr talking to his people after the strike this morning.
Добрий день, сильні люди вільного міста. Буквально півгодини назад було завдано 2 ракетних удара біля міста Житомира. Масштаби втрат і є чи постраждалі, чи нема, зараз уточнюється, буде коментувати військове наше керівництво. А знов в Житомирі звучить сигнал повітряної тривоги. Прошу не зволікати на цей сигнал, бо після Криму, після аеродрому Сакі, після сьогоднішнього взриву складів в Джанкої, ну, зрозуміло, що вони неправильно поводяться там по техніці безпеці, але все ж в них є намагання застращати, показати, що вони сильні, що в них є ракети, тому вони можуть абсолютно спокійно лупити, в тому числі і по об'єктам, гражданським об'єктам, цивільним. Тому прохання, не зволікайте, сигнал тривоги, перейдіть в укриття. Всіх обнімаю.
So there you see it. There's the first one. And that would have been one of the earlier ones in the day. The mayor of Zhytomyr. And Zhytomyr is a large city. Did you catch it? He said, for sure, we're seeing a response to what we did in Crimea, the munitions dump and the airfield. He then says, evidently, their security is weak. Beep, beep, beep. Their security is weak. And then he said, but of course we know they'll be striking civilian targets. So when you hear the air raid, please go to the shelters. So that's what you have. First jab of the day came from the mayor of Zhytomyr. And it's what's interesting is that video was released early this morning, right after Zhytomyr was struck in the civilian areas. And then he was saying early in that video, there's another air raid siren going off. Please get into the safe places. And that would have been the time, just a few minutes later, that the military base was struck. So there, we start there with Zhytomyr. Now, let's jump all the way down south to what he was talking about. He said, we hit them. We hit them at the munition dump, and then down below that, we hit the airfield. I want to focus on the munition dump. It was a massive munition dump. Vehicles, transport. I saw multiple rocket launching systems on the back of vehicles. I mean, loaded. Plus, not too bright where this stuff was, right at the intersection. I mean, I understand it logistically, but I think I'd back it out of the intersection a little bit that Russia uses to transport by rail munitions up to Melitopol and over to Kherson. Now, I can tell you 100% the railways that were damaged have already been repaired that quickly. So the rail is back in action. The munitions are gone, but the railway has been repaired. What did this do? Number 4, it brought another fear level to Crimea and the Russian Federation. Today, 38,000 vehicles are crossing the Kerch Bridge. It is the one-day record going one way in or out. The old record was 37,000 when there was some storm coming, but 38,000 cars passed over the Kerch Bridge today. Autumn Leafs, welcome to you. No, it was a supply area. We'll show you some of that in a minute. And this today was a major moral boost to Ukraine, and they are exploiting it. How? Not so much with more attacks, but the fear is there. Now the calls that it is time to be bringing about a possible attack on the Kerch Bridge. You're going to hear about that in a moment. There's a boldness coming, but at the same time, it's releasing that Ukrainian way of communicating, which I'm telling you rubs Russia the wrong way, specifically those in the Kremlin there. Now, wow, they admit it. Later in the day, which is today, and that is RIA Novosti, RIA News. I have showed quite a few videos of RIA, and that is Russian news. They came out and they said, okay, they got us. It was sabotage. You see, this is the first time they've admitted anything, because all the other times, well, you know, the guy dropped a cigarette, and then, of course, Ukraine runs with that. But for the first time, the media admitted it in Russia. They got us. It was sabotage. It's very interesting. Remember the Zelensky statement. It's key. Communicate the Ukrainian way. You've already seen it from Podolyak. That's why the title of the program tonight is The War of Words. Here comes Mikhail Podolyak. Of course, one of the heads of the office of the president. His tweets on the left. I have it translated for you on the right. This morning near Zhankoy began with explosions. He then states poetically, let me remind you once again that the Crimea of a normal country is about the Black Sea, mountains, recreation, and tourism. And the Crimea occupied by Russian militants is about the explosions of warehouses and the growth of mortal danger for the invaders and thieves. The demilitarization is in action. Don't you remember at the beginning of this war, we have to denazify and demilitarize Ukraine? He's putting it right back on them. We're demilitarizing you. That is how Ukraine does it. Now, I do have a couple of videos that I want to share with you. As I told you, Ukraine uses humor. So here is how the sabotage happened, and a news report from RIA Novosti back into Russia about the explosion. Now, while you're sitting there watching, please put your tongue in your cheek. These are a parody, but this is what Ukraine released today. This is how the munition dump happened, and I can tell you, because you won't know it unless you watch old Soviet films, but this is actually pulled from an old Soviet film and used back on them. Here you have it. This is how it happened. So that is how it happened. And yes, Ukraine released that. It's their way. Now, after that, of course, you have to have RIA Novosti reporting back to Russia what happened. Folks, this one's fantastic. Remember, there's no danger. Everything's good.
Все хорошо. Все в абсолютной безопасности. Никакой паники нет. 6 миллионов единиц техники, 20 миллионов волонтеров, 300 миллионов сотрудников Росгвардии, 650 миллиардов дронов все потушили. Никакой опасности нет. Опасность уничтожена. Безопасность восторжествовала. Конец связи.
It doesn't get any better than that. So that's their humor, and it's what's rolling around Ukraine and Russia today, and you're getting to see it translated. Very, very cool. A lot of culture there, a lot of symbolism. That's a very famous comedian busting on them. The other was a very famous Soviet film busting on them. And the reality is that munition dump was taken out by Sabotage, and they're putting it right into the eye. Now, that's the great news. Fantastic. The war of words continues. The supreme leader of the Ukrainian forces, who does not speak often where it's attributed to him, each day at noon and 6 p.m. and 6 a.m., there are reports that come from the general's staff. And of course, that is the whole team of leaders there in Kyiv. But the supreme leader of the Ukrainian forces, his name is Zaluzhny. He is a supposedly great guy, great leader, great Ukrainian, very brilliant tactician. And this is him right here. This is Zaluzhny. He did today make some direct statements. He said, the location of missile systems along the state border from Belarus, in particular at the Zybrovka airfield, is of concern. We've been talking about that here for a few days. Russia really is loading the border. And if you remember back to last Thanksgiving and Christmas in January of the new year, you would occasionally see it on your news report. Russia keeps amassing troops, equipment. What are they doing? Are they just posturing? And then February 24th happened. We're seeing the same thing on that northern border. And today, Zaluzhny said it is a concern for us. He added that the invaders shell Ukrainian positions 700 to 800 times daily, releasing from 40 to 60,000 rounds of ammunition, and the enemy continues to advance slowly along the entire front line. It's the truth. They're really at a stalemate on a lot of these front lines, but Russia is gobbling up a little bit, but it's extremely slow. The most tense situation, according to him, Zaluzhny, is now in the direction of Adivka, Pesky, and Maryanka. Now, I want to show you those. We'll zoom into those. You have black circle is Avdiivka. You have the green circle is Pesky. And then you have Marinka in the red. 3 key areas. Why? Because they're on 3 main roads. Look at Marinka. That is in the east. Donetsk is right there. Once Marinka is done, you're then really moving into rural area on the road to Zaporozhye. Once Pesky is done, you're out of that Donetsk metro. And we know Pesky's done. It's leveled. They just haven't pushed through it yet. Green arrow, that's the road there, heading straight to Dnipro. And finally, Avdiivka, black circle, battle there is raging. But I showed you video last night. There's very little left. So unless something crazy happens, they're probably going to eat that up. And that's what the general is really alluding to. But that road gives them free domain to push on further toward Bakhmut, Kramatorsk, and Slavyansk. Now, I want to take it one step deeper. Let's zoom in to Slavyansk. We're moving up a little bit north. You have Bakhmut in the red, you have Kramatorsk in the green, and you have Slavyansk in the black. Last night, Slavyansk was shelled all night long. I want you just to think about that for a moment. Think about when you're at your home and everything's nice and you hear one clap of thunder in a storm. And it, boom, and you shake, and then, okay, I got a storm, and then it passes. Or think when a fire truck or a police car goes by your house and you hear the siren raging, but it goes on by, the sound goes away. Well, just imagine hearing sirens basically all night long and hearing thunderclaps all night long, but it's not thunder in the sky, it's your city being leveled. That's what happened in Slavyansk last night. It was the hardest night of the war since it began 174 days ago in Slavyansk. Here is what happened. They would unload on it, reset, unload, reset, unload all night long. I'll show you one of the unloads right now. Then it chills, and then it waits about 2 minutes. I won't wait for that. And then it happens again, and it goes on all night. Here's Slavyansk. Then it settles, and it repeats. That was Slavyansk. And, you know, you do not have to be a rocket scientist or a military specialist to see those shells, and you guys have been watching these streams long enough. Here pretty soon you're going to be watching them from Ukraine. We'll be there, but until then we've been showing you pictures and video and working with Zhenya on the inside. But that's all residential, folks. That's not, there is no downtown there. It's residential. They're hitting the residences. So Slavyansk, tough. And these were all from the top dog, Zaluzhny. August 24th. August 24th. Today is August 16th. We are 100% live. It's 9:28 p.m. here on the East Coast. It's 4:28 a.m. in Ukraine. And you need to write this down. Not because this is the day I leave for Finland to begin the trek into Ukraine. No, it has nothing to do with that. August 24th is Ukraine's Independence Day. Other than Christmas and Easter, which are religious holidays, it's their number one national holiday, August the 24th. They're already talking out of Kyiv. We are expecting something on August 24th. We don't know if they're going to come in from Belarus strong. We don't know if they're going to use different types of munitions, but their intelligence, everything they're looking out for, the chatter that they are hearing is we must be prepared more than we've ever been, pushing toward August the 24th. Of course, we'll be watching it, but circle that date on your calendar. That's going to be a very strategic date in this war. Zaporozhye nuclear power plant partial shutdown, reactor 5. Reactor 4 is already shut down. Ukraine has once again reiterated, get out of there. All citizens of Energodar and surrounding regions and towns, get out of there. They're playing with fire and somebody's going to be burned. Reactor 4 offline. Reactor 5 partially shut down due to damage. Reactor 1 partially shut down due to shelling. Fire services are working at 66%. Only 50% of the staff is working there. Others have just left or they're not working. It's a nightmare, and they continue to shell it. As Zhenya said last night, nuclear terrorism. Now, war of words, let's take it to the next level. War of words. Here is Matas Maldakis. He is a parliamentarian there for Lithuania. You already know from either last night or 2 nights ago, Estonia, the little bulldog, closed their border to Schengen visa Russians trying to get through to Europe. Latvia's done the same. Poland has done the same. Now, Lithuania. Of course, you don't come into Lithuania via land. All right, so look at the map there. These were for nations bordering. Poland did it because they're bordering Belarus, which borders Russia. Estonia and Latvia share borders with Russia. Lithuania does not, other than Kaliningrad. But we're not talking about Kaliningrad. We're talking about Russia proper. No border. So he said Lithuania will issue tourist visas to all Russians who can swim to our holiday resorts via this sea corridor. The war of words, the plucking, the pushing the buttons. That's what happens. Why did he say swim that route? Well, because there's no land border. But there's another reason. Remember yesterday, Estonia and Finland said, we're going to block the Gulf of Finland. Military ships are not coming out. We're going to reinforce our Baltic Sea defenses. Now they come out today and say, okay, if you can swim here, we'll give you a visa. Now, here is the opposite. So this guy gets a cheer. Yes, Madison, copying the humor. Lithuania gets a cheer. Germany, sorry. And I know we have Germans watching, but Schultz, you get a boo today. And I understand why Schultz would say this. He goes, think of the dissidents, says Germany's Schultz on Russian tourist ban. I get it. Well, what about the people that want to leave? Well, what about them? How do you know they really want to leave? This is a war of chaos and built on lies and built on sabotage and built on social media and built on lies. How would you even know if they're true dissidents? No, Germany, Mr. Schultz, we need to stand firm, block access for any tourist, period, so that then the citizens of Russia will put pressure on the Kremlin, will put pressure on the regime of Putin because they can't go lay on a beach in Spain. This is a part of the strategy. And sir, when you put out statements like that, which was today, not yesterday or a week ago, but today, you're messing up the plan. How can you not understand that? I know a lot of Germans do. We have Germans that watch his stream. In fact, the #1 nation in analytics that watch my stream tomorrow are Germans. I get lots of comments from them or messages later. They appreciate it. Can one of you guys call Schultz and tell him to reconsider? Not the best plan there. I've got a question for you. With friends like these, who needs enemies? Today, there was some events that happened in Moscow. And it was international events, it was youth events, it was infrastructure events. And at these events, Shoigu, whom you guys know now, was speaking, as well as Vladimir Putin. I will be showing you both of these guys. So here we continue with the theme of the night, the war of words. So the question I have for you is, with friends like these, who needs enemies? Shoigu was welcoming the friendly nations that were at this event today in Moscow.
На Украине российским военнослужащим сегодня присутствуют видные военачальники дружественных нам государств из Бурунди, Гвинейской республики, Камеруна, Мали, Судана, Уганды, Чада, Эфиопии, Южноафриканской республики. Мы ценим вашу поддержку и намерены наращивать сотрудничество по взаимовыгодным проектам.
Our friends Burundi, Guinea, Cameroon, Mali, Sudan, Uganda, Chad, Ethiopia, South Africa. Now, I don't want to say anything bad about these nations. I've been in some of them. But Chad's not a good place. One of the most dangerous places in the world is the nation of Chad there in Central Africa. So these are the friends that we're welcoming. So with friends like these, who needs enemies? That would be the question I ask. Now, I want to introduce you to a guy tonight. His name is Anders Aslund. You say, okay, well, who is Anders Aslund? Well, Anders is Swedish, and he actually lives in Washington, D.C. He is a professor at Georgetown University. But he is on many European councils, Atlantic Treaty councils, all of these international councils. He represents Sweden, and very, very brilliant man, smart man. He put out this message today. He said, if Ukraine bombs the Kerch Bridge, Russia's claim to Crimea will collapse. It's high time for Ukraine to take out the Kerch Bridge. The rumor here in Washington, that's where he's at, is that the NSC has prohibited Ukraine to do so, threatening less military supplies if the Ukrainians do so. I hope that is not true, because Ukraine has to bomb the Kerch Bridge. First of all, Anders Aslund is spot on right. We need to take that bridge out. But secondly, here's my thoughts. I think he's right. I think that some of the nations, United States included, that are supplying weapons, NATO, are tying the hands of Ukraine in some ways. I think he's on to something there. We shall see. We shall see. But I think it's accurate. And the reason I say that is because Zelensky, you will see this video in just a few moments translated into English, was talking about the intelligence that came to him early in the war from the United States and NATO, and they were telling him to leave. To leave. You'll hear him talk about that. He says, I can't leave my people. I'm the president. That's early on in the war when it started. And he says, I don't need a ride. I need ammunition. I can understand that Anders Aslund, he's an insider. He's probably accurate. And if NATO and the United States are holding back Ukraine from making serious pushes in this war that will turn the tide of this war, I'm sorry, and I'm an American, but it's going to negatively affect us in the end. Unfortunately, the world leadership is incompetent to understand the Soviet mindset. Ukraine gets it, Estonia gets it, Finland gets it, Latvia gets it, Lithuania, and Poland. The rest of the nations, they're working on it. But those nations that were a part of the Soviet Union get it. And they know that if Russia is not defeated soundly in Ukraine, turn out the lights, the party's over. They're coming for you next. Anders knows it. People in the know it. And unfortunately, a lot of the people that have really powerful decision-making nations are very cowardly. It will bite us in the end. Now, with that said, let's go to the war of words. Here we go. We've talked about it the whole night. Now I'm going to show you a few videos that happened today. Everything is translated, and we're going to start first with Shoigu. Let's go to Shoigu first. He's talking about the war. This happened today, August the 16th, in Moscow. Let's start with Shoigu.
Противостоят объединенные силы Запада. которыми управляют руководство этой страны в гибридной войне против России. Наращиваются поставки вооружения и военной техники Украины, проводится обучение личного состава украинской армии, передаются огромные финансовые средства на поддержание жизнеспособности националистического режима. Действия вооруженных сил Украины планируют и координируют иностранные военные советники. Разведданные поставляются от всех имеющихся в НАТО источников информации. Применение вооружений осуществляется под контролем западных специалистов. Усилия НАТО направлены на продление агонии киевского режима. При этом нам достоверно известно, что ни у кого в НАТО нет сомнений в том, что поставленные российским руководством цели специальной военной операции будут достигнуты. А планы добиться стратегического и экономического ослабления России терпят крах. Доллар не достиг потолка в 200 рублей, как это прогнозировал президент Соединенных Штатов Америки. Российская экономика выстояла. Специальная военная операция развеяла миф о супероружии, которое Запад поставляет Украине и которое способно коренным образом изменить ситуацию на фронте.
So there you have. That was 10 a.m. this morning in Moscow at the conference, which was a conference of international. It's actually, the word translates like no fear conference. Okay, nations coming together, but it has different sectors in it. World leaders, youth, huge conference there. That was Shoigu. Now, a little bit later in the day, and you can see the war of words there, very clear. He's talking about HIMARS aren't working. The West is doing all of this, all the war of words. Later, Vladimir Putin spoke to the youth. Now, you guys need to check this out. He took his tie off. He's talking to the youth. Here is just a few seconds. The war of words, Vladimir Putin talking to the youth at the youth section of the conference.
Все попытки отменить нашу культуру, отменить Россию тщетны. Это просто глупость. А те, кто думает иначе, к несчастью, для них не выучили уроки истории. Но историю делают люди. И сегодня это, в том числе вы, молодые, умеющие мечтать и творить, работать и побеждать.
You can see him talking to the youth. You got the tie off. You can't erase Russia. That's simply stupid. And if you don't realize that, then you haven't learned from history. But you are good young people. You can dream and work and live and be free, do great things. And by the way, I have my tie off because I'm talking to the youth. Let me ask you a question. Other than when he's riding a horse with no shirt, how many times have you seen, especially during this war, President Putin with no tie? He was making a statement to the youth there. Now later, he's speaking to the full conference. Tie is on. Here you have it. He's talking about saving the genocide that Ukraine is doing inside of Ukrainian territory, especially in the Donbass. Now remember, all of this is today. Zhenya helps me. The guys in Ukraine help me. We understand what we need to push out every day to be active because the war changes every 24 hours so much. Everything you're seeing tonight is in the last 24 hours. It all started with the blowing up of the munitions dump in Crimea, then the attacks into Ukraine, then Ukraine responding with their jabs in their words, and then Shoigu and Putin jabbing back from Moscow. It's all connected. This is how they roll over there. It's all connected. Then Putin, after the youth, puts his tie on, and here he comes.
Для удержания своей гегемонии им нужны конфликты. Именно поэтому они уготовили народу Украины судьбу пушечного мяса. Реализовали проект «Антироссия», закрывали глаза на распространение неонацистской идеологии, на массовые убийства жителей Донбасса. Накачивали и продолжают накачивать киевский режим вооружением, в том числе тяжелыми. В этих условиях мы приняли решение о проведении на Украине специальной военной операции в полном соответствии с уставом Организации Объединенных Наций. Цели этой операции определены ясно и четко. Это обеспечение безопасности России и наших граждан, защита жителей.
We're going to protect our citizens in our country and those that are being and falling under this evil regime and being eliminated from the face of the earth there in Ukraine through genocide. Folks, a lot of people watching tonight, a lot of new people have tuned in. You may not know me, but I've been working in Ukraine almost 25 years. I speak the language. I will be there very soon. I'm telling you from 25 years of experience, Ukraine does not commit genocide. Period. This is all lies. Ukraine is not running around. They're not Nazis. Did my light fall down? It did. They're not fascist. You can take one example of one person who was crazy and then assign it to a whole group of people in a region. That's bonkers. You could do that with every nation. If you did that, then the whole world is nothing but evil groups. Hey, welcome to you there. H4X4D3 from Greece. Love having Greece. Cheers to you tonight. I had to zoom in on that one to see that name. That's cool. Welcome. So I'm telling you, it's not happening. And this war of words, I couldn't think of a better title for tonight's update. This is a war not only of missiles, not only of sabotage, but of words. Who is going to win the war of words? We shall see. Finally, you've seen Shoigu. You've seen Putin. You've seen the mayor of Zhytomyr. Greetings there in Melbourne, Australia. Colonel, welcome to you. Love our Aussies down there. We're getting lots of Aussies in here, and we love Australia. Thank you. I want to close out tonight with President Zelensky. A couple of days ago, he was interviewed by the Washington Post, and he is reflecting about the beginning of the war. Just pay attention to what he's talking about. It's translated perfectly. You will see the war of words, not only with Russia, but with the rest of the world too. Here he is.
Українці, грудень, січень, лютий виводили гроші з нашої економіки. І ми могли б бути жорсткими, але ми не давали ні Національному банку, нікому обмежувати людям брати свої гроші. Хоча ми точно розуміли, що це буде бити по економіці держави. Всю свободу, яку мають люди в демократичній країні, всю свободу люди отримали. Вся інформація, що у нас була, вона у них була. Вибачте, те, що я не говорив, що їх задум там щось зробити зі мною, тощо, те, що мені розвідки доповідали постійно, вам треба вивозити. Я сказав, як ви собі це бачите? Я буду вивозити свою сім'ю, я буду щось робити, а люди нехай тут залишаються. Я так не можу. Наша земля, це єдине, що у нас є, будемо разом тут, а потім вже було те, що було потім.
Read between the lines there. That's why I wanted to share that clip tonight. Are you kidding me? People, I'm sorry, I'm just going to tell you guys the truth. It was the Americans. Shame on us. Shame on us. Telling the president of that nation, take your family and leave. I know that happened for a fact, as you do. And I'm sure other nations as well were doing that. And I don't know who, so I won't call them. But if you did, shame on you. The man was leading his country. He knows what to do and how to deal with Russia. Unfortunately, nobody else in the world does. And I'm very thankful that he's there as the leader and the president. He said, can you imagine me leaving my homeland, my people, when we're needed the most? They wanted to take their money out. I let them. We're a free democracy. We're a free country. Correct. Shame on our U.S. government, not the people. Thank you, JDO. You are spot on there, sir. It's just a shame. And this is why I can't believe it. We're at day 174. How on earth? 174. This should have been over in a week. The world should have stood up the moment that a sovereign border was breached, especially when that nation had agreed through the Budapest Memorandum to give up all of their defensive weapons of any power. Yes, they have some weapons, but not the big stuff, not the nukes, the deterrent. Shame on these governments. Shame on these governments. But that's the war of words, and that's where we're at. That is day 174. Guys, thank you very much. As you know, we are working on getting the tourniquets and the chest seals, and we'll continue to modify levels and all that as we go through. But thank you. The link is in the chat. It'll be pinned there. We'll keep it there till Friday because I leave next Wednesday for Finland and for Ukraine. I will hand carry every one that you guys buy. And if we get more than I can carry, we'll get another bag. It doesn't matter. They will get there. But thank you. And JDO, you make the perfect. Because I'm telling you, I'm sorry, folks. And by the way, for those of you that are new in here, we're fully 501c3 nonprofit. We've got great administration with Pastor Kent and our whole team here. So thank you very much. But here's the deal. If U.S. will not hold security promises it made in 94, why would it hold any NATO promises? NATO has never been tested. You and I know it well. We also know that right now, NATO nation Turkey, one of the biggest, who wants to be the #1 army in the world, playing the fence. We know that Germany wants to allow and the dissidents to come and let the Schengen visas roll. There's such disunity in this, and unfortunately, every day it goes further it's not going to stop. We could have stopped it in week 1 or week 2. It's not going to stop. It's too late. Vladimir Putin has egg on his face. We're starting to make some serious strides against them. And the Soviet mentality, which he is, in the Russian language, on KGB. On ime KGB mozg. He has a KGB brain. He's programmed. This is what he thinks. It's not going to change. But we'll be here and we'll do our best to help. The answer is, when the bully pops you, you pop him back. And he goes home. All right, folks, thank you. Thank you for everything. What a full night, full 23 hours. Thank all of you for being here. Thank you for the chatting. And let's roll that comment up there as a sign off. There's my man, Mr. Gentilini. Putin rules by propaganda. No other opposing view allowed. Putin, the war isn't going well for you. Zelensky is an international hero. America, give Ukraine the weapons they need and stay out of the way. That's it. It'd be over. I'm telling you. Yeah, you're right. CZ, I think. Yep. Zhenya told us what job his father had in the military. Nothing has changed. For those of you that are new, Zhenya is the Ukrainian that's our partner in this stream 4 to 5 nights a week. He's on here with me from inside Ukraine. And here soon we'll be broadcasting together from inside Ukraine. His father was a major in the Soviet military, and his job was propaganda. We're pretty well-rounded on this stuff. Hey, thank you for being here. We'll see you in 23 hours. Peace to you. Peace to Ukraine. Good night.